Jennifer Berry is suing her former friend and roommate, 24-year-old Christina Washington, for unpaid rent and punitive damages. Christina claims Jennifer forced her out of the apartment.
Miss Berry, you and Miss Washington decided to rent an apartment together. You rented the apartment, didn't work out. It is your claim that Miss Washington moved out of the apartment without notice to you. You want her to pay her portion of February and March's rent, plus punitive damages, which you don't get, plus fees that you were charged because of possible eviction. And Miss Washington says that you forced her out because you told her that you were raising her portion of the rent and that things became intolerable, which is why she moved. Okay. When did you sign the lease on this apartment?
June of 2007.
What was the monthly rent?
It was $725, Your Honor.
$725?
Yes.
Who was going to be living in the apartment?
Myself, Miss Washington, and my son.
How old is your son?
He's 9.5.
How many bedrooms were there?
3.
You had one?
Yes.
She had one?
Yes.
And your son had one?
Yes.
How were you dividing the rent?
It was supposed to be 50-50.
That's false.
Well, it shouldn't have been 50-50. You should have been paying 2/3 because you were using 2 of the bedrooms.
It was under my impression when we moved down here, Your Honor, that she said she was fine paying half, but she
That is
had
completely
to.
false.
Well, evidently she doesn't feel that way. Now, her answer says that you agreed that you would pay 2/3 of the rent because you had a master bedroom and you had one of the guest bedrooms?
Yes.
And your son had one of the guest bedrooms?
Yes.
So it is only logical that she would pay 1/3 of the rent, or $241. How much rent did you pay in July?
$245, and then it went down 20 because
$245. August, September, how much did you pay during those months?
the same until probably about September.
Then,
That's
according to
incorrect,
Ms.
Your Honor.
Washington, there came a time when the plaintiff said that she was raising your rent.
That was in December.
Tell me about that.
It was right before Christmas, and I came home from my second job, and there was a Post-it note on my bed saying that starting February 1st of 2008, it was going to be split 50-50.
Did you put that post-it on?
Yes, I did. Every time I tried to talk to her, she didn't really.
Just a second. July, August, September, October, November, 5 months she had given you 1/3 of the rent.
No, that is not correct. She paid more than that.
How much
She
did you
paid
pay?
$350 in August, and every month after that, she paid $325.
$325. It's not half of $725.
Correct. When we moved down here, she stated that once I get settled in, I'm fine paying half. That's okay.
That's
Because the
false.
only reason we got
Okay.
a 3-bedroom
Well, then there was
because
clearly...
she agreed
okay,
to that.
very fine. So what I'm telling you is I have to view this as a contract between the two of you. And since there was clearly no meeting of the mind between the two of you as to how much each of you were going to pay, there was no contract. So she moved out in January or February? January. When did you give her notice that you were moving out?
I tried to talk to her right after the New
Trying
Year.
to talk to her, you don't have to try to talk to her.
Okay.
You can write her
The
a letter.
second
Did you
then-
write her a letter?
No.
Okay.
I tried
Did
to
you
talk
just
to her over the phone, and she hung up on me.
Did you just move out?
No, I told her I was leaving because I didn't agree to the...
What date in January did you tell her you were leaving?
Probably the 2nd.
January 2nd?
And I moved out the 5th.
That's incorrect, Your Honor.
She owes you her 1/3 of February's rent.
She didn't pay January's rent either.
You didn't pay January's rent?
Because I wasn't going to pay the half.
Oh, well, you have to pay your 1/3. You have to pay your 1/3 of January, and you have to pay a 1/3 of February, because that's also reasonable and fair to give 30 days notice so she can find somebody else if she wants to find somebody else to rent the room to.
Okay.
That's what you have to do.
Your Honor, I wanted to argue about the 1/3 of the rent.
You can argue all you like.
Okay.
If you thought she's supposed to pay a half, and she never paid half,
She paid $350.
she never paid half. Even $350 is not half. And she says she believes she should be paying a 1/3. I believe she should be paying a 1/3. Let's say if you had your son and you had 2 small bedrooms, and you said, look, I'll take a small bedroom, my son will take a small bedroom, and you can have the master bedroom. Even that's reasonable.
I didn't
But you
even
have the
care
master
which
bedroom, and you have another bedroom, and you want her to pay 2/3. It's unreasonable. Now, the next thing I want to know is, what fees did you have to pay and why to the landlord?
In January of the 28th, I have the eviction notice. I had to pay $1,075 in order to stay.
And what was that for?
It was $725 rent, $200 in legal fees because they filed the eviction notice, and I have a copy of that right here.
Well, show me where it was $200 for legal fees.
Okay. It's in the lease.
No, I just want to see that $200 of that $1,075 went for legal fees.
Okay. It's right here, Your Honor. And then here's the receipts that I paid it.
Okay.
The original amount I was supposed to pay was $1,075, and I couldn't afford the whole $1,075. I had to scrape pennies out of my son's piggy bank to get the $1,070.
It was $200 for the filing of the eviction notice, which she owes you half of because she didn't give you sufficient notice in order to find somebody else if you wanted to find somebody else to live with.
It's hard to find someone else when I'm a single mom. I've got my kids at home. Nobody wants to move in with a
She had her
single
boyfriend
mom.
there all the time.
Just a sec.
Helping her with
Just
stuff.
shh. Don't speak out. I don't like when you speak out. That's not my problem. That's not her problem. You didn't have a contract with her. You had a
According
contract.
to the rental agency, a half and half is what's on the lease.
You and she did not have an agreement as to how much she should be paying in rent and how much you should be paying. And based upon common sense, it doesn't make sense for her to pay half when you have two people living in your house who have two of the bedrooms in a three-bedroom house. Doesn't make sense. She owes you $583. She owes her share of the month of January when she was there for at least part of the month, that's for sure. And I believe she should have given you 30 days notice, giving you an opportunity to find someone else. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $583. Thank you, that's all.
Lynette Young claims ex-boyfriend Robert Mangum owes for a loan and for an assault. Robert admits he put his hands on Lynette, but claims she refused to leave his property.
Ms. Young, this used to be your boyfriend. He's not your boyfriend anymore. You claim that you loaned him some money and that he, at some point, sort of assaulted you, although it was an argument that went very badly. Mr. Mangum says that the money that you did, in fact, give him was a gift. There was never any discussion of repayment, and that this assault that you're talking about was as a result of your own actions, that you were a hot-tempered nut and he did nothing but try to escape you. Tell me about this money. When did you give it to him and where did it come from?
February 16th, it came from my account.
Can I see from where?
Yes, it's right here.
Where did you take this money from?
It was from my savings account.
And you took it out in cash?
Cash.
And what did you do with it?
I let the defendant borrow $1,100 from it, and I spent $900 of it.
Now, you gave him $1,100. And what did you do with it, sir?
I was supposed to buy a car, but it didn't go that way. You know, she spent all her money, so...
You were supposed to buy a car.
Right.
Did you
But
put the
she
money...
blew all her...
I'm speaking. When she gave you the $1,100, where did you put it?
I just had it in my pocket. It was in my possession. I didn't put it in the bank anywhere because it's supposed to be for me to buy a car. But she blew all her money, so I had to use the money to take care of her now.
He was going to say that no matter what happened.
Right, I mean, I'm trying to tell you what happened.
I ask questions. When I want you to do a monologue, I'll ask you.
It's not a monologue. I was answering the question.
No, I just asked you where you put the money. You said in my pocket.
In my possession. Sorry.
Right. You see, we're going to do this in an orderly fashion, like I say.
It's supposed to be used to buy a car.
I have a feeling they look like, look, see, that's attitude. Look at the attitude, right? Attitude, attitude. That looks like a match made in heaven. So she gave you this $1,100. You're supposed to use it to buy a car.
Right.
But you didn't buy a car. You bought a watch instead.
No, I didn't buy a watch. Ben had the watch. Ben had the watch.
What did he say?
Ben had the watch.
Ben. So what'd you do with the money?
Help take care of her, because she blew all her money.
What did she blow her money on?
Ask her.
What'd you blow your money on, the $900? What'd you buy?
I actually blow my money.
What did you buy with it?
I have to eat, I have to pay my bills, I have my own apartment,
Yeah.
and I have to put gas and things in my car. So I didn't actually blow my money.
Well, so you spend your money on your own bills.
On myself,
On yourself.
doing
on
things that I had to
things.
do.
Tell her the truth.
Shh. Just a second. Why should she tell me the truth? That would
'Cause
make
she's not
it
telling
so
the truth.
unusual here.
She's not telling the truth.
Okay, so
I
you
thought
blew,
this is a
she
place of
blew her
justice.
money and you had to use the $1,100 on her. What did you use it on? Give me an example.
Food, going out, rent, cell phone bills, all of that nature. But I was supposed to be buying me a car. That was
Were you living
specifically for.
together?
Yo, huh? Excuse me? You're not speaking loud enough.
The problem is your mouth isn't closed. So when your mouth is not closed, you
asked me a
can't hear me.
question.
You can't hear me. I said, were you living? No, you were
No, we
quiet
weren't
for a
living
second.
together, but we was together every day. I'm answering your question. I'm just...
It's all in the timing, see.
See, we ain't connecting here. Maybe we need to slow down a little bit.
We are not connecting, sir. And for that, I say, thank God.
Wow.
So you didn't buy the car with the $1,100?
No, ma'am.
You took her out to eat, took her to parties and things?
Parties, eat, shows, karaoke, everything.
I just want to know where was I at.
Shh. Just 1 second.
I'm sorry.
Just 1 second. That doesn't mean he doesn't have to pay you back. Listen to me. That doesn't mean he doesn't have to pay you back. If he decided to use this money to show you a good time, to play big man, that's his problem.
Hey.
That's his problem. You know, he chose to do that. He could have let you stay home and watch Law and Order or watch Judge Judy. He could have let you do that. He could have had just as good a time. All right. Okay. So now, Miss Young, now I want you to tell me, madam, about this assault, when it happened, and let's try to keep it legitimate, okay? Because I have a feeling that I'm going to get half a truth from each of you.
Okay, it happened probably like a month and a half ago. I was over his house.
Month and a half? What month?
What was it? June?
You're asking me? I wasn't there.
Okay, June, May, June.
May and June.
Yes.
Must have been a terrible assault if you remember May and June. Go ahead, let me hear what happened. You were over on his porch.
Okay, I was over on his porch.
You were sitting on his porch.
And he got angry because I wouldn't leave. He wanted to drive my car and go to handle some business. And he wanted me to go inside the house. And I said, no, I don't want to go in the house. He came back, drove around the block, told me, leave my house, Lynette. And I said, I'm not leaving. Why do you want me to leave? He took me by my shirt, grabbed me, drugged me off his porch with my shirt. Tried to throw me in my car. We got into a physical altercation. He scratched me up. I scratched him up. We was fighting, like just fighting. Not like punching each other, but like scratching.
Each other?
Yes. I was trying to defend myself.
Because you were trespassing on his property.
I wasn't really trespassing.
Yes, you were.
I was invited over his house.
No, Lynette, darling, what he said to you, I want you to leave my house. The invitation is over. You have to leave.
Okay, that's true.
That means you're trespassing.
But when I did say that I was about to go, you don't have to put your hands on me. I would leave on my own will. He took me by my shirt and drugged me off the porch. So that means that he didn't give me an opportunity. When he said move, I didn't move when he wanted me to move. So
That's his problem. He has a problem like that.
I didn't move
He
quick
likes to
enough
be in
for him.
charge.
I didn't move quick enough for him, so he took me by my shirt.
Did you call the police?
Yes, I did.
And he was arrested?
He was arrested.
Just a second. He was arrested. Did you follow through with the case?
Okay.
Look at me. Did you follow through with the case?
I did not.
So what do you want from me? You don't even remember the day it happened. You don't even remember the month it happened. But I'd like to hear your version of the events anyway. Go ahead.
Okay, let me give you a mental picture of this. Now, she's sitting over my house. We had a good day, you know, for probably about an hour.
You did have a good day?
We did have a good day for about an hour. Usually, that's about the extent of how long our good days last, you know. But I need to use her car. She got an attitude with me about using her car, but she finally let me use it. I'm like, just go in the house. You know, it was a bunch of stuff going on in the neighborhood.
What were you going to use her car for?
I had to go make a run. I had to go pick something up.
Make her...
Because I was supposed to be going out. I was supposed to be going out later, so I had to go pick up some clothes. So, but that's either here nor there. It was a bunch of stuff that's going on in the neighborhood, so I told her, go in the house. You know, I didn't yell at her. I didn't argue with her. Just go in the house. She put on the front in front of y'all. She wanted to play Miss Model, Miss a front, an acting job. Sanaa Lathan. You know, I'm just trying to run it down to you, but in front of y'all, she want to act all nice. But when it comes to me, she's like a terrorist.
No,
She's a terrorist.
Why, just a second. That's what you like about her.
No, I'm actually trying to help her with her problem. I say it's a problem.
Anger.
Right. It's not even anger. It's a mixture of things. She's sensitive, she's emotional, and she's a bit aggressive. So with that chemical reaction, it causes a terrorist attack. But let me get on with the story.
Get on with it in 30 seconds, sir.
30 seconds? Okay. I told her to go in the house. You know, I didn't tell her I asked her to go in the house. She argued with me. Well, I got to go in the house. Oh, I ain't going nowhere. I'm like, all right, I ain't going to argue with you. Just leave. She said, I ain't going nowhere. Please, can you leave? I ain't going nowhere. So I grabbed her by her waist and walked her down the stairs.
Oh, wow.
You know? So I put her in the car, got on the other side of the car, pulled off. Now, we in the car arguing, fighting, arguing. I'm like, you know what? I finally got like a mile away from the house, got to the light, and parked the car at the light, and got out the car, and started walking home. She come back to my house. Come back, talking about she gonna call the police on me. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? Just leave. She called the police over there. I go over there, talk to the police, you know.
Meanwhile, you had an outstanding warrant that kept you for a while.
Right. So that's why they took me.
What was the warrant for, Mr. Mangum?
It was open alcohol.
Open alcohol?
Yeah, in the car. I wasn't driving. The alcohol was just open.
Oh, well, why didn't you go to court when you got that ticket? Huh?
I missed the court date.
You have other big things to do? What kind of work do you do, Mr. Mangum?
I used to work at Sherman-Williams, but I'm just a student now.
I used to be taller, but now I'm shorter. What do you do now? What do you do now?
I'm just a student.
A student of what?
College.
Where?
Wayne State. Criminal justice is my major. I plan to be like you one day.
Mr. Mangum, the system isn't ready for you, sir.
I know, but in a few years, they'll be ready. They tuning up for me.
All right, Mr. Mangum, you owe her $1,100. You wined her and dined her. You're a guy, you're supposed to pay those things. You're not supposed to take her out with her own money. Judging for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,100, you get zero, nothing, zippo for the assault. You probably brought on yourself, that's all.
Child care provider Summer Oliver claims former employer Jamie DiMarino owes for unpaid wages. Jamie is accusing Summer of being a neglectful babysitter.
Miss Oliver, it is your claim that the defendant owes you some money for babysitting services, and the defendant says you've been paid. She's counterclaiming because she says because you were such an inefficient sitter, she lost money. When did you start babysitting for a child or children?
2 children. We had an interview on the 5th of January, and then she started the 8th of January.
And how did you find her?
My father had given me her number because she was running a local ad in one of the papers for daycare. So
How old are your children?
I have a son that will be 3 in a couple months, and my daughter just turned 6.
All right, January 8th is when she started, and what was the financial arrangement?
Anywhere from $150 to $170 a week.
Now, the first week that you babysat, did she pay you?
Yes.
And the second week?
Yes.
So we're talking about 1 full week of $150 that you claim she didn't pay you for.
The last week of her 2 weeks' notice.
What do you mean the last week of her 2 weeks' notice?
She gave 2 weeks' notice. She paid the first week, and she didn't pay the last week.
What days did she bring the children to you during that second week?
The last week, Monday, she brought both her children. Tuesday, she called me, and she said that she had been out drinking the night before, and she was hungover, so she would not be bringing her children Tuesday.
That's Tuesday.
Yes.
Yeah, that's not true.
Wednesday, she brought both her children. Her little son had a terrible diaper rash, and he had diarrhea at my house that day. I called her to come pick her son up because he was ill. I actually had to take him upstairs and bathe him because he had defecated all over himself and all down my carpet.
Okay, go ahead.
The next day, Thursday, she brought him. He had defecated in his pants.
So he was soiled again.
Yes, he was.
What about her daughter?
Her daughter had diarrhea that morning, but she went to school.
Well, she's 6.
Yes.
Just a second. But she was there at your facility, at your home?
Yes.
The daughter, until she went to school?
Correct.
Okay. And Friday?
Thursday, when she came to pick up her son, I called her and said, he cannot stay here. He is ill. I have got to put my other children in high chairs and fasten them in, and I have to take care of him. And it's dangerous. It's not respectful to my other kids or for me. I said, you need to pick him up. And she became very angry, saying he was not ill,
Okay.
and she tried to pass it off.
Okay. Ms. DiMarino, why did you give your 2 weeks' notice?
It's because I noticed that the level of care wasn't necessarily where it needed to be. The week right before I gave my 2-week notice, my son had his hand slammed in the door. He was unable to use his hand for a couple of weeks. His fingernails, in turn, fell off. I was never notified. I was never called. The first time I found out about this was when I arrived at her house. Now, my children seem to like her. However, she did not work well for me. Sometimes my job demands that I stay later. I can unfortunately never count on her to do so. I realized I'd made a bad mistake, and my previous child care provider had been in Egypt on vacation for over a month, so I decided to go back. I gave her my 2-week notice.
When you gave her your 2-week notice, the first week your children went to her home.
Yes, ma'am.
Every day?
No, ma'am. She went to the funeral that week. That was complete oversight on my part, and I paid her for the full week.
Did you go to a funeral that week?
Yes, ma'am.
What day did you go to a funeral?
Tuesday.
Were you available to babysit?
I was not.
Were you paid?
I was. And everybody else paid the full
I
amount.
don't care what everybody else did. Everybody else is not suing.
Well, I gave her credit of $120. The 3 days, I've added a $10 late fee as per our agreement that we had.
Just a second. It's not a late fee. There is a dispute as to whether or not you're entitled to be paid. So forget late fee.
Ma'am, she signed an agreement with me that she would pay a late fee.
Listen to me very carefully, which is why you are here. Do you understand? I want you to forget late fee. That's not happening.
She signed a contract that
Listen to
said
me.
that she would pay
Listen to me.
regardless if her children were ill.
I want you to pay careful attention to me. Anywhere in your contract does it say if you are unavailable to babysit, you get paid anyway?
No, ma'am.
So that some things are not covered by a contract. Is that right?
Right, but others
When
are.
there is a dispute as to whether or not you are entitled to payment, that falls outside the contract, just as the fact that you had a funeral to attend and you couldn't get anybody else to cover for you because your job is very personal in nature.
Correct.
So when you can't babysit for people whose jobs depend upon you doing your job, very often they lose their wages from their job. Correct? Do you understand? Yes. That's why sometimes contracts don't cover every eventuality. You are not entitled to be paid for the day you took off.
I'm not asking for that.
But you were paid.
That's why I gave her credit the next week.
But you were paid. Well, if you gave her credit the next week, let us assume that you're entitled to $150 for the week. That would mean that you are really only entitled to $120.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're suing her for $150. So now we're down to $120. Now you explain to me why you don't feel as if your children went there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yes, ma'am. They were not there Tuesday because I had some prior arrangements.
That has nothing to do with her.
Absolutely.
That has no use. You have to pay her for that.
I had every intention upon paying her. Had my son came back being said that he was sick, which is what I told Miss Oliver on Thursday when she called me and said, you are aware you do owe me $120. And if you do not pay me by Friday at midnight, I will start adding $10 late fee. I said, that's fine. You're entitled to do whatever you need to do. However, my son will be at the doctor's at 4:30 today. If he is given a clean bill of health, I will not pay you a dime. If it is said that he was sick, I will pay you. My son was taken to the doctor. He wasn't sick. There was nothing wrong with him. She's the only person.
Show me the doctor's letter.
Yes, ma'am. My doctor is semi-retired, so all I could get was their notes. He won't be back until Thursday. State of Virginia will not release the records to you.
Well, then that's not particularly helpful.
I know it's not. It's the best I could do because Dr. only comes in a couple times a month. However, I have a statement from my sitter.
I don't need a statement. I don't read statements
She's
from
giving
you. I
birth in 2
don't
weeks.
read statements from your sitter.
She can't.
I don't read statements from your sitter.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You know, sometimes when a child has an upset stomach, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're sick.
Yes, ma'am.
But sometimes it does. And sometimes, if a daycare provider believes that the other children in her care are at risk,
yes, ma'am,
then the prudent thing for her to do is to say, listen, I don't want to risk the other children's health here. So, but there is no question that you owe her $120.
Even for the fact that I paid a separate daycare provider for that whole entire week, and she kept my children for 3 hours.
Listen. If for some reason you were unhappy,
I was.
You should have done what every reasonable parent does, which is not send your children at all. If you questioned her ability to care for your children. What?
According to her contract, I would have been liable.
Are you kidding me or what?
That's what it says.
No, are you kidding me or what? I mean, you're telling me that you question her ability to care for your children, but according to the contract, you'd be liable to pay for them anyway, so...
I would, unless without 2 weeks. Yes, ma'am.
Let me ask you this question. You take your children to an amusement park.
Yes, ma'am.
And you buy your ticket.
Yes, ma'am.
And after you buy your ticket, somebody in the amusement park says to you, you know, I heard that yesterday 4 children were killed on that ride that you're going on. Now, you got your ticket in your hand. What do? You
don't go.
You don't, just a second. You don't go. You take your ticket, you throw it in the garbage because you're a mother. And you say, I'm not taking any chances. I don't care if I lose the $1.50 or the $3 or the $6 on the ticket. I'm not risking my children on a ride that could be dangerous. So if you question the ability of a daycare provider to provide for your children, irrespective of whether you owe them the money, you don't take them.
Which is why they didn't come back.
Just as you don't take them. You don't say, I'm liable to pay. Hey. I'm liable to pay the money, which is why I sent them. Now, that's what you just said to me. You said you sent them because you were liable to pay anyway.
And there was no immediate danger, except for the fact that when she said there was something wrong with my son, nobody else observed this except for her.
Oh, I don't believe that that's true. Miss
Nobody else observed it.
Miss DiMarino, I don't believe that she sent your son home with you and called you when she felt as if the child had an upset stomach, had a bad stomach. Could have been a virus, could not have been a virus, whatever. My sense is that she sent him home as much because it was a pain in the neck for her as anything else, because she says she had other children to take care of, and she was devoting all of her time to take care of your son and cleaning her carpet, which was irritating to her. Well, that's unfortunate. That's what you have to do when you take care of little babies. That's what you get paid for. In any event, you owe her $120. It was a bad experience. You got to pay her. Stop being a crybaby. If you didn't take your children there at all, and you said to me the last week, look, I felt my children were at risk at her house, and therefore I'm not taking them, and you didn't take them, I might have had a little sympathy for you. But you took them. I have zero. You owe her $120. That's all.
Thank you.
Your countersuit is dismissed. It's nonsense. Your countersuit for your lost wages when she couldn't take care of your child, it's nonsense.
It wasn't for that.
Yes, it was.
No, ma'am, it was for the fact of, it wasn't for when she couldn't take care of my children. My countersuit was for when I had to miss a whole day of work because it was President's Day. She forgot to inform me she would not be taking care of my children. It was President's Day. I showed up with my children in tow, and I missed a whole entire day of work.
Which day was that?
It was President's Day.
February 19th.
February 9th. Is that in your contract?
It is. I take off all state holidays.
Is it in the contract?
Yes, it is.
Show me, that's all. Just has to be in the contract.
That I take off all state holidays, and if she did not know what state holidays were...
Just show me. State holidays are observed, and I will generally not be providing care on those days.
Correct.
However, if needed, it can be arranged for an additional $40 a day.
She did not ask me to.
Just a second. Why?
Because those are the days my husband has off, and that's when we spend family time together. I do not take a vacation during the year like a lot of other daycare providers do.
Please ask for a list of state-observed holidays. Did you ask for that list?
I didn't need, I knew
Did
when it
you
was.
ask for that list?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
I have a calendar.
So you know it was state holiday.
I did, and I thought I had arranged
No,
that
she did
day
not.
until I showed up and she answered the door in her pajamas 15 minutes later.
Just a second. What do you mean you thought you had arranged for her to
Because
take care?
I said I needed to work. I was aware that it was President's Day, so was she. I said I have to work on Monday. She answered the door in her pajamas and said, well, I'm not keeping any of my other children today, so I will not be keeping yours either.
Yeah, no, you don't got it. When did you arrange to have her babysit that day on the state holiday?
The prior week.
The prior week.
Yes,
did
ma'am.
She did not.
No, she made that up. Just
No.
Counterclaims dismissed. That's nonsense.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
25-year-old Rayanne Fisher is suing her ex-boyfriend, Brandon Wolf, for writing a bad check on a shared bank account.
Miss Fisher, this young man used to be your boyfriend, and you actually lived together. You made the mistake, because you didn't listen to Mother, of opening up a joint bank account with him while you were living together. And after you broke up, he wrote out a check. There was no money in the account, but there was evidently one of those privileges that allows you to write checks even though you don't have money in the account, and you were forced to pay the check because there was no money in the account. And you want him to pay the money back plus whatever fees were charged to you. Mr. Wolf has an interesting defense and an interesting counterclaim. First, let's discover when you broke up. Date.
The date was July 11th of 06.
And when did you write out this check?
I don't actually have the actual date of it.
But I'm sure you do.
Yes, I do. July 16th of 06.
After the bloom was off the rose, right? And at the time, Mr. Wolf, were you aware of the fact that there was no money in the account?
Yes, I was.
So tell me why you did that, sir.
I
First, tell me why you did it. Then tell me why you don't think you're responsible to pay her back the money for it. And then we'll get to your counterclaim.
Okay. I set up with the finance company to where it was a post-dated check
For what?
for a down payment on my Jeep.
So you gave the finance company a post-dated check.
Yes.
And?
And I had plans on putting the money in the account within the 2 weeks of my next paycheck.
Yes.
By that time, she had already paid this off.
Well, they had to have deposited the check. What do you mean, Mr. Wolf? I want you to try to clear out the fuzzies in your brain. Now, if you had put the money in the account before they cashed the check, there would be no problem. She wouldn't have known anything, right? So you didn't put the money in the account.
No.
Or the finance company cashed the check before they were supposed to.
Correct.
Well, which one is it? I gave you two choices. They can't be both correct.
They actually cashed the check before the post date.
Well, so the bank probably shouldn't have done that, right?
Right.
But you had the money.
Right. It was a misunderstanding.
Fine. So why didn't you give Miss Fisher back the money? Since you had the money, let me give it to you this way. You had the money. That's what you told me.
Right.
You were going to put it in the bank.
Correct.
Your finance company, for your truck, deposited the check early. That's what you're telling me.
Correct.
But you had the money. What's your first name?
Rayanne.
Say to Rayanne, I'm sorry, this was all a misunderstanding. I have the money. I'm going to give you back whole. Why didn't you give her back the money?
Well, what happened is on my Jeep, I ended up getting it repoed from me.
What month?
It was August, I think.
So we're talking about now in July. July, you had the money
Right.
to pay the down payment, so why didn't you just give it to Rayanne, who paid the overdraft protection on the truck?
I never asked her to pay it.
Who cares? You had it. Why didn't you take care of it?
I didn't feel I had to.
Standing here today, do I change your mind, sir?
No.
Well, then you're an idiot. You the girlfriend?
I'm the fiance.
Fiance. I think twice about making babies with him. Listen, your debt, your problem. You had the money.
Right.
I also don't believe that a finance company takes a post-dated check and allows you to take a car. That is a lot of who shot John. So, now that I've already determined that you owe her the money, how much money does he owe you?
$592.90.
$592.92. That's what you owe her. Now I am prepared, sir, to listen to your counterclaim.
What happened is I was in the hospital for a week, and one of my payments fell through on my Jeep.
Another payment fell through.
Yes.
Like an accident looking to happen.
They sent a tow truck to her house.
To whose house?
Rand's house.
Why would they think it's at her house?
Because it was registered under the address.
So the tow truck came to the house and said, where's the truck? Go ahead.
She brought the tow truck over to my sister's house, had it towed,
No. She didn't have anything towed.
Oh. She brought the tow truck over to my sister's
They
house.
said, where is this car?
Right.
And she said, it's not here. Maybe it's at his sister's house. I'll show you where that is. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
So
correct. She sat in the parking lot also, took pictures, sent them to me on my phone, and also put them up on her MySpace page.
So what? So what?
I didn't feel that was right.
Maybe she would have felt more kindly if she wasn't out $600 for your truck while you're fooling around with your new fiancé. Do you understand? One
Yes,
good
ma'am.
turn deserves another. Your counterclaim's dismissed. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $592.92. Thank you.
Apologize, excuse. You may step out.
Krista Llewellyn is suing her stepfather, Ernest Flowers, for money loaned and the cost of a computer. Ernest says that Krista breached their contract.
Miss Llewellyn, this is your stepfather.
Yes, ma'am.
It is your claim that you made a couple of loans to your stepfather.
Correct.
One of them was to purchase a computer that he was supposed to pay off within a year.
Correct.
According to you. And the second loan was for what?
For a $600 post-dated check that he had, and he got into an accident, and they fell kind of behind on their bills. So he asked me to borrow the money, and I said sure, as long as he paid me back, because he had borrowed money before.
And that was $600?
Yes, ma'am.
And how much is owed on the computer?
$671.
Mr. Flowers, why in the world would you borrow money from your child?
First off, for the laptop, she had and her husband had an account with Dell, and it was purchased on that account because I could not get credit through Dell. I explained to her that I would make the payments faithfully, which I have.
Show me.
There's 3 months worth of payments. Shows that each month the payment was taken out.
When was it purchased?
It was purchased in February of 2006.
You're just showing me 3 months worth of payments.
Yes, ma'am. That's all the further back that I can go with my bank.
No, but you can get a statement from them as to how much you owe. How much was the computer?
I believe $2,000.
No.
How much was it?
A little over $1,000, like $1,029, $1,039.
Is that there?
Well, I have a printout from Dell, yeah.
Can I
This
see
is
it, please?
Everything.
So the computer was purchased in 2006.
Yes, ma'am.
March of 2006?
Yes.
Well, you know, you're never going to pay this thing off. What's the interest on it?
$25 every month, and I told them that.
You pay $50 a month towards the computer. Only $25 of that goes to the computer. You know what's going to happen? Mr. Flowers, the computer's going to break, and you're going to say, I'm not paying for a computer that I don't have anymore. By the way you're going, you won't be paying for this computer until 2010.
Those were the payments that were set up with her when it was purchased.
Is that right?
Those were the payments set up with me, but they told me within a year they would have it paid off. And I also have a statement from my husband because he talked to him also and said that it would be paid off in a year because we
Can I see
purchased a
that,
computer
please?
and paid it off within a year.
Did you tell her you'd have it paid off within a year?
No, ma'am, I didn't.
Well, I accept this because it's a notarized statement for someone in the military and your husband is in Iraq.
Right.
He says that it was supposed to be paid off within a year.
I was in a car accident on June the 13th and planned on, when I got my settlement, of clearing that bill.
And?
And I have not received a settlement yet, so...
Well, when do you intend to get that, sir?
I have no idea. It is in the lawyer's hands right now.
Fine. As soon as you get it, you have to pay off the $671.
Yes, ma'am.
But he has been paying, according to this, he has been paying it
Yes.
every month. So next time, don't let anybody use your credit.
Correct.
I can't do anything about the computer. Now tell me about this other check, sir, for $600.
When Krista and her husband first came back from Germany and Krista moved in with my wife and I, couple days after they moved in. I'm not sure exactly when the date was. I know the date they moved in was June the 15th.
And she pays you rent.
She was paying $200 every 2 weeks.
So she was paying you $400 a month rent.
Yes, ma'am.
Which covered what?
As far as the rent on the house that I rent, it's $725, so...
So she was paying more than half of the rent that you were paying?
Yes, and she was not asked any money for the electricity, power,
So
or
who
gas.
cares? So who cares?
And she wasn't asked any money to help with the food.
That's
or
not
anything.
true. I was asked for money for the utilities, and I have proof, and I also have a witness that she couldn't pay her utilities the first month that I moved in. So when I moved in on June 15th, I gave her $400.
She give you money for utilities when she first moved in?
Gave him $400.
She gave me nothing, ma'am.
She gave it to who?
I gave it to him and my mother.
What about food?
I bought my own food. I have an 11-monthly baby food, and I have an 11-year-old, and I purchased my own food.
So she's paying you sufficient rent to live with you? Nice that she was paying you rent at all. My children, when they come home, never pay rent. Most don't. So I still don't understand the $600 loan.
Before he left, he and I were out in the garage, and he handed me $600 and said that he wanted me to take care of the payday loan that I had.
Your Honor.
Shh. Go ahead.
I explained to him at the time that I did not have the money to pay him back for that, and he said that was not a problem, that they had gotten extra money out of their taxes, and he wanted to help us out because we were helping out by having Krista live there while he was over in Iraq.
Sounded like she was helping you out. Sounds to me, Mr. Flowers, as if you were in certain financial distress, because if you took out a payday loan, it means you didn't have money to cover your own bills. Otherwise, people don't take out a payday loan. And she was paying more than half of the rent on your house. So I don't know who was helping whom. Certainly, I didn't see you doing anything for her. Her mother helped out with the baby, not you. I don't see what she got out of living with you.
As far as I'm concerned, I was at work. I worked 9, 10 hours a day.
You don't make enough money, sir, and your expenses exceeded what you earn. She was helping you out.
And at the time out in the garage, when her husband gave me the money,
it's not what he says
that
here.
was a gift.
It's not what he says. It's just not what he says in his notarized statement, sir.
Your Honor.
I can't help that.
It's not what he says in his notarized statement. In any event, you should have been able to take care of yourself. You're a grown man. You don't take money from your children. You owe her the $600. What else?
$180.42 for a gun that he had in pawn.
Well, tell me, that's curious. I want you to tell me when you got it out of the pawn shop for him.
I got it out on September 6th of '07. I went in with my sister because she was paying a pawn, and I saw his gun in the case actually for sale. So my mother's not such a nice woman. She just pawns his stuff for money and doesn't tell him sometimes. And I like Ernest. I think he's a really nice guy. And I mean, without her, he's a really nice guy. So I called him and I said, Ernest, did you know that you are going to lose your gun, that it's for sale? And he said, I didn't know that. And I said, the guy said that you could get it for $180.
Did she call you from the pawn shop?
She called me from the pawn shop, but she stated that the reason why she was calling was because the gentleman at the pawn shop had gotten strict instructions from me when I dropped it off there that he was not to release it to anybody but me.
He admits to owing me for the gun, though.
No. Because
yes, he does.
I didn't ask you to go pick the gun
I have
up.
a statement that he sent to small claims court saying that he owed me for the gun and for the dog.
Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Good.
He admits to owing me for the gun.
Shh. It says, do you agree that you owe the plaintiff money? Yes. If yes, how much do you agree that you owe? $344. I want you to look at this, sir. Did you remember you filled this out?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
But it says that you owe her then for the vet bill and the $180 for the gun.
Because she had asked me afterwards to be paid back, and because of the fact that she was nice enough to do that, I was going to pay her back to be nice.
Good. Now,
but then,
perfect.
Then she
so you
files
pay
this
it back to be nice. Good. So far you owe $780. Anything else?
Yes, I would like the return of my rent because I paid them rent on the 1st of October, and on the 3rd, they threw me out. They had my stuff packed. They gave me 5 minutes to get my stuff. They kept some of my stuff. They broke some of my stuff.
Why did they throw you out?
Because my mother's got split personalities, and she's just crazy. She's not
Why
the
did you
same
throw her
person
out?
from day to day.
The specific reasons I don't know. All I know is I got a phone call from my wife stating that Krista's attitude was to the point to where she wasn't willing to deal with it anymore.
Fine, so
and
you owe her rent.
No, ma'am, because of the fact that the extra utilities that were used.
Forget the extra utilities. It's ridiculous, Mr. Flowers. She paid you the rent the 1st of the month, and you threw her out the 3rd of the month. You owe her rent.
We did not throw her out. She was given the opportunity to either stay or drop her attitude. No. She chose to leave.
You can't have a tenant, and you have to make up your mind whether you treat somebody as a tenant or your child. If you treat her as rent from her, if you treat her as a tenant, and you tell her, well, I don't like your attitude, either you have to drop your attitude or you have to move out. That's throwing her out. Can't have it both ways. She has her $200 rent back. That's $980. Anything else?
No.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $980. Thank you, that's all.
Crystal Anderson says former roommate Dr. Leonardo Rodriguez owes for the return of her security deposit. Leonardo is countersuing for the return of a computer modem.
Miss Anderson, you rented a room from the defendant in his house?
In a house, yes.
In a house. Do you live in the house also, sir?
Yes, I do.
And the intention was for you to live there for a year, although you did not have a written lease?
Correct.
It was your understanding that there was some sort of internet capacity in the house because you worked from the house?
Correct.
Did you have a discussion with the defendant about that?
About it before I moved in or it
Yes,
not working?
before.
Yes.
In any event, you moved in and you found out that you could not work from the house because there was no, I don't know, Zoom, internet, whatever it is. I don't do that machine. And you told him you were going to be moving out.
After it did
You
not
want
work.
your security deposit back. The defendant says that you broke the lease that you had with him because he was supposed to stay there for a year, even though you did not have a written lease. And even though he rented your apartment or your room, he doesn't have an obligation to return your security deposit. In addition, he says that you took a piece of property that belonged to the house, some sort of a modem. So let's get to his counterclaim to begin with. Do you have his modem?
No.
Did you take his modem?
No.
What makes you think she took your modem?
Well, I have a photograph of the modem in the house under her desk at the time that she moved out, and it's gone along with the other property. So I can only assume that she has it along with the other things that were in the room.
Is it possible you have his modem somewhere?
I did look. I don't have it. But I can also tell you that the desk that it was behind, I didn't remove from the room.
Who did?
The roommate that moved in. He had to disassemble it.
Okay, I removed the desk along with the roommate and removed the plasma television from the wall and put it outside.
She doesn't have your modem. She doesn't have your modem, and she doesn't look like a thief.
I agree.
Good. So we've taken care of your counterclaim.
Well,
she doesn't have
well,
it.
not quite. I don't know if she has it.
She says she doesn't have it, and you have no proof that she took it.
I have proof that it was under her desk at the time that she moved out, and now it's nowhere to be found.
Well, you have a new roommate in there.
Right.
Maybe the new roommate took it when you were disassembling it.
We've gone through the entire room. We've
Just
looked
a second.
for it.
I didn't say that you haven't gone through the entire room. Maybe he took it. Maybe he's the thief. You don't think so?
Well, I never actually...
No. You don't think so?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think she is either. Doesn't lady who has a responsible position, who gave you a substantial security deposit, who paid her rent on time when she was living there, would steal something from you and then look at me in the eye and say, I don't have it. I didn't take it. I don't have it.
I mean, you say that she's a responsible person. I don't necessarily think that's true. I mean, who agrees to a one-year lease and then leaves 4 months after it?
I'm going to tell you somebody, sir. She. And now she's going to tell me why she left. You gave him a security deposit in the amount of $2,500?
The security deposit was just $1,250.
Okay.
It was in addition to
it's
personal
clear,
rent.
Mr. Rodriguez, because there's no allegation that she left the room in other than reasonable conditions. So
Absolutely.
the only reason you're not returning her security deposit is because she breached the lease.
Correct.
Okay. When did you move in?
August 10th.
Did you pay August's rent?
Yes.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Did you pay September's rent?
Yes.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
What about October?
Paid the rent in full.
And November?
Paid the rent in full.
Is that correct?
Correct.
And when did you tell the defendant that you were leaving?
In the middle of October.
Did you tell him why?
Yes.
What did you tell him?
I told him that the internet continued to have problems and would continually break down, and therefore I would spend numerous hours continuing to try to make it work, try to connect it, and if it didn't, I'd have to call Time Warner.
And what did he say?
He said that he didn't realize that it was that big of an inconvenience, that he would have done more about it if he'd known that it was going to make me move out of the house.
The first time that I had heard that it was a problem was at the point that she was moving out. I had no idea when she moved in that she was planning to run her business or her part of her business out of the room.
Did she tell you that she needed internet connection, sir?
Absolutely.
And what did you tell her about
That
it?
there's internet connection that we all use. All 4 other people that live in the house are still to this day using an internet connection. However, it doesn't run at the speed that she needs to run her business. I never knew that she needed a specific speed to be run.
Is it slow running?
It runs average. It runs normal for me.
It would break down in my part of the room. It was split. The last time Time Warner had come to the house, they had spliced it so many times, according to what they say, that they would
tell me what they said to you. But you told him in mid-October, and you moved out in December.
December 1st.
When did the new roommate move in?
December 6th.
The new roommate's name is?
Lee.
How much was your rent each month?
$1,250.
And what is Lee's rent?
$1,250.
Did he pay December's rent?
Not in full.
In what amount did he not pay?
He paid minus 5 days of rent. I'm not sure the exact dollar amount.
Okay. Did you have all your property out by December 1st?
Minus a plasma TV and a desk.
So you did not have all your property out by December 1st?
Correct.
When was all of your property out?
I know for sure it was all out as of the 4th.
So you overstayed your stay by 4 days?
Yes.
Okay. You cannot profit, sir, from a situation that was handled totally appropriately. She did not damage the property. She gave you notice.
She absolutely did damage the property, Your Honor. I have proof that she damaged the property.
Oh, well, you didn't say that. Wait a second. Hold on a second. I want to see if you said that in your answer. Did you? Would you please show this to Mr. Rodriguez? That's his sworn answer. Would you please have him point out in his answer where he says that he's not returning her security deposit because she damaged the property?
I asked her to remove the trash, but she never did. I had to hire a repairman to clean out the trash, repair the walls, and change the locks.
Repair what walls, sir?
So the plasma television that she says that she moved out, or that I took down myself and put outside, left behind a number of large holes in the wall.
Show me your bill for fixing the holes in the wall.
This is the bill for fixing the holes in the wall.
Okay.
This is the estimate that it would have cost to remove all of those things and put them outside.
No. All I want is fixing the holes in the wall.
Your Honor, if I was...
Why did you change the locks?
Well, I didn't know Crystal before she moved in, and I...
Sir, you want to change the locks, change the locks. That's what you do as a landlord.
But, Your Honor, if I was in the business of being a landlord and...
Listen to me, sir. I want to see a picture of the wall, and I want to see a bill for spackling the hole in the wall. Period. Okay.
Your Honor, we had a one-year lease agreement.
You did not have a one-year lease, sir. One-year lease has to be in writing.
There's
Otherwise, it's a month-to-month. She gave you a month's notice. She gave you more than a month's notice.
Your Honor, we had a verbal lease agreement.
No, you have a lease agreement, sir, when it's in writing if it's for a year or more. Other than that, you have a month-to-month tenancy. And if you want something more than that, and if you want to lay out your rights and responsibilities, go get a form lease and sign it, and then you have a lease for a year or more. Do you understand? The only reason I am charging her the extra days is because she actually had property in your house. And if she actually has property, even if it's in the hall, that means she's still a tenant. So she didn't vacate December 1st. She actually kept property there for at least 4 days. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt for the 5th day because that's when you moved the new roommate in. So I am deducting $200.
Your Honor, the lease that you say is month-to-month. If I was interested in a beach rental for month-to-month, I would have charged much more than $1,250 a month.
Do whatever you want to do. You want to lease your place for a year or more, get a written lease that outlines everybody's responsibility. Other than that, you have a month-to-month tenancy. Most jurisdictions that I know. Now, it may be different from where you are, but any contract that has a duration for a year or more is supposed to be in writing. And if you choose not to do that, you do so at your own peril, sir. And you cannot profit from it. You didn't lose any money. You rented the room and took an additional security deposit. You didn't lose a month's rent. Ms. Anderson did absolutely the appropriate thing. She let you know in October that she was vacating in December, so she gave you more than 30 days to find a new roommate. You did, in fact, find a new tenant who paid you the exact same amount of money that she did, and I'm deleting from her request the amount that covers the 5 days that your tenant didn't pay for the month of December, giving you more than she's actually liable for because she's not liable for more than 30 days. But she kept stuff there, so she is, in fact, responsible for at least part of it. So you owe her $950. I am taking off $200 for the overstay because you lived there past December 1st, and I'm taking off $100 to plaster the wall. Okay. By the way, where did the new tenant put his TV?
He doesn't have a hanging television.
$950. Judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you. That's all.
19-year-old Cindy Lazaldi is suing fellow motorist Dylan Mashburn for the cost to fix her car after he ran into her.
Miss Lazaldi, what do you do for a living?
I'm a service cashier in a dealership in Long Beach.
What kind of dealership?
It's Cadillac dealership.
How long have you been working there?
I have been working there for about 7 months now.
You sound unsure of yourself.
I'm kind of nervous, sorry.
Okay. So you work in a Cadillac dealership, and you've been there 7 months.
Yeah, approximately.
Who do you live with?
I live with my boyfriend.
What's his name?
Mario Martinez.
How long have you been with him?
It's going to be 2 years next month.
And you've been living together for 2 years? What does he do for a living?
He is an insulator. He works for construction.
Just the two of you live together?
Yeah.
You have an apartment with a lease?
No, just renting an apartment.
I know. Is there a lease on the apartment?
No.
What are you, month to month?
Yeah.
What kind of an apartment is it? Look, don't look over there.
Just a regular apartment, I guess.
big is it?
It's a 2-bedroom.
And were you living there when you had the accident with Mr. Mashburn?
Yes, I was.
And were you living with Mario?
I'm sorry?
Were you living with your boyfriend?
Yes, I was.
His name is Mario, right?
Mario, yeah.
So you were living together?
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Mashburn was driving behind you, and there was an accident, and he hit you in the rear.
Mm-hmm.
You want him to pay for the damage to your car.
Yes, I do.
This happened in November 2007. Mr. Bashburn says that you really didn't want your bumper fixed, you wanted a date. That's his defense. With him. Which is really why I asked you all of these questions. Just in the event you were unsure of why I was asking you all of these questions, before I got to Mr. Mashburn's defense, I wanted to find out a little bit about you.
Okay.
So, Mr. Mashburn, tell me about the accident. Are your hands in your pockets?
Yes.
Take them out.
Okay.
Tell me about the accident, sir.
Okay. It was November 21st, 2007. I was behind Cindy at a red light. We had pulled away from a red light. Pretty much instantly, she had stepped on her brakes. We were maybe going 2, 3, 4, 5 miles an hour, and then all of a sudden she steps on her brakes. I hit her. I'm as stunned as and I got hit in the back, and then I'm into her, and I'm thinking, how did this all happen all of a sudden? And I'm looking in front of her, and there was a bus on the other side of the intersection, which I didn't know if that was the cause of the accident. At the time of the accident, Cindy got out of her car in the middle of a busy intersection. Personally, I thought it was a smaller fender bender. You know, she seemed okay. I said, well, why don't we go down the road a little bit? There's some construction down the road, and we'll exchange information and go from there. In fact, there was even a policeman in the intersection who felt the accident was... Sorry.
Don't tell me what the policeman felt,
Okay,
sir.
sorry.
I'm not interested in even what you feel.
You're right, I didn't know what he felt. So we went down the road, got out of our car, kind of looked over the damage a little bit. It didn't seem to me more than a...
I want your defense. Now, Mr. Mashburn, we've already established that when you hit somebody in the rear, it's your fault.
Right.
So you hit her in the rear. She's going to show me pictures of the car or an estimate to have it fixed, which I assume she has.
Right.
You're going to tell me why it's not your responsibility to fix it.
Sorry, Your Honor. At the
It's
time...
okay. Don't be sorry. Just get direct.
Okay. At the time that we were exchanging information, you know, I had asked her, should we go ahead and go through the insurance companies? We looked over the damage. We both felt that it didn't seem... Excuse me, I felt, and it was my impression that she felt, the damage wasn't too significant. We didn't have a witness. The guy that hit me kept going. The bus, you know, probably didn't know what was going on as far as our situation, so we didn't have that to go off of. We did not call the police. At the time, she seemed to be kind of flirty and almost without care when we were going over this. I didn't think anything of it, so I said, well, what would you like to do? You know, would you like to just go ahead and call the insurance companies? Would you like to just handle this out of court, get an estimate, a few $100s? You know, maybe I can deal with that. You know, what would you like to do? And she said, well, don't ahead, just give me a call next week. Don't worry about it.
Did you have insurance on your car?
Yes, I do.
You have a driver's license?
I take that back, Your Honor. I currently do not. At the time of the accident, I did.
Did you have a driver's license?
Yes.
At the time of the accident?
Yes.
And you drive now?
Yes.
And you have no insurance?
To court, yeah.
That's a very, very bad thing, sir.
I know. Okay. I'm unemployed.
Why are you unemployed?
Lost my job a few months back, and it's just been hard to get back on my feet right now.
Who do you live with?
Right now, I'm staying in a motel.
What kind of job did you have?
It was accounting, customer service.
How old are you?
31.
You have children?
No.
So it's just you?
Yes.
Ever had problems with the authorities?
No. With the exception of unpaid parking tickets, no real trouble with the authorities, no.
Mr. Mashburn, I don't want to throw you through the ringer, sir. There's something that is almost sympathetic about you. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but something. Not attractive, but sympathetic. You feel as if you're responsible to pay for the damage to her car?
I don't, in the sense that at the time of the accident, you know, should we go through our insurance companies, should we not?
That was your choice.
You're right.
If you didn't want to pay, listen, you hit her in the rear. She doesn't have to go through the insurance company. They're not going to pay her. Your insurance company is going to pay her. That's what you had liability for. So it's not up to her. You hit her in the rear, you're at fault. Period. End of discussion. She was able to stop for the bus that may have been to the intersection. You were driving too close. You weren't able to stop. Somebody hit you in the rear, took off. All of this is a very sad tale. Bottom line, it's your fault. It was your insurance. If you wanted to go through your insurance, you could have. Could have said, I don't want to pay for this out of my pocket. That's what I have insurance for. It's a moving violation. It's not her. It's you. You chose not to do that. So then you got to pay her. It's as simple as that. That makes sense?
Yeah, the logic behind all that makes sense.
Well, that's why they keep me here, sir. They don't keep me here because I'm young and gorgeous. I see the car, please. Thank you. Oh, so you need a new bumper. Is that right?
Yeah, I do.
How much is a new bumper?
There was an estimate for $1,400 just for the visual damages.
Can I see it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything else you want to tell me?
Not necessarily.
Okay. This accident happened in November of '07. The picture was taken February of 2008. Why?
I didn't have a camera at that time.
That's not a reason. Everybody has a camera. They have a cell phone with a camera. Half of the free world has a cell phone with a camera. Why didn't you take the picture until February of '08?
Well, I didn't need a reason to take pictures of. I didn't plan to take him on court because I thought he would, you know, commit to what he had promised me.
Which was to pay for it?
Mm-hmm.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,400. That's all. Thank you.
20-year-old suing her former friend, 19-year-old Eric Smith, for the cost to bail him out of jail after he was arrested for unpaid speeding tickets.
Ms. Hubbard, you claim that Mr. Smith owes you money for bailing him out of jail.
Yes.
And Mr. Smith acknowledges that you bailed him out of jail, but he said that that was your choice. He never agreed to pay you back the money, right?
Yes.
How old are you?
19.
What do you do to keep yourself occupied?
I'm a full-time student and I work
Full-time student where?
Longview Community College, Kansas City, Missouri.
And you work for whom?
Walgreens.
And what were you arrested for, Mr. Smith?
On speeding charges, tickets that I didn't pay, warrants.
Speeding, tickets, warrants. How many?
8.
How do you manage to get all these tickets if you're a full-time student and working at Walgreens?
What it was when I was in high school, I racked up a lot of tickets, like speeding tickets, and I didn't have a job in high school because I played football, and I didn't work, and I never paid them off.
And how do you know Miss Hubbard?
I met her at the club.
Now, were you dating each other or you just knew her?
It was like kind of like that in-between thing where not really friends, but not really together either.
I see. Who was this smiling person over here?
This is my friend Robin.
How long have you known Robin?
About 6 years now.
So he's a good friend of yours?
Yes.
Better friend to you than Miss Hubbard, right?
I guess you could say that, yeah.
Well, he schlepped all the way to court with you, didn't he?
Yeah.
From Missouri?
Yeah, from Missouri.
And who do you live with?
I stay with my dad right now.
So you have a father?
Yes.
And I guess he's known you for at least 19 years, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you have a mother?
Yes.
She's known you for at least 19 years.
Yes.
Now, Robin here, he didn't bail you out of jail.
No, he didn't.
So he must not like you so much.
Nah.
And your father didn't bail you out of jail, right?
Right.
He didn't like you so much.
No.
Your mother didn't bail you out of jail.
No.
Right? She didn't like you so much.
No.
You have grandparents?
Yes.
Yeah, how many?
I actually have one.
Grandmother?
Yeah, grandmother.
She didn't bail you out of jail either.
No, she didn't know, actually.
I guarantee you she knew.
Okay.
So how long were all these loving people who were really attached to you, how long did they let you sit in jail when you got arrested?
The whole time.
How long was that?
That was 3 weeks.
3 weeks? I mean, we're not talking about we'll let him stay overnight to teach him a lesson, right? We're letting Mr. Full-Time Student Employee at Walgreens stay in jail 3 weeks. But then, according to what I managed to put together here, they were going to move you from one jail to another because you served your time on a whole bunch of tickets in one county, but then there were other counties looking for you. Is that right?
Yeah.
You ever hear of a man for all seasons? This is a man for all counties. So when they were going to move you, somehow Miss Hubbard bailed you out of jail.
Yes.
Were you happy to be out of jail?
Yes, I was.
How happy were you?
I was very excited.
And how did Miss Hubbard find out that they were going to move you from one jail to another?
I told her.
You told her?
Yeah, I told her.
Did you tell your mother?
No, I didn't tell my mother.
Did you tell your father?
Yes, I told him.
Did you tell Robin?
No, I didn't tell Robin.
Didn't tell Robin either,
No,
but
I
you
didn't.
told your father?
Yes.
And what'd your father say? Bye.
Yeah.
But not Miss Hubbard.
No.
She bailed you out.
Yes.
So what do you think you ought to do?
I told her thank you. I did. I told her thank you.
You told her thank you?
Yeah, I told her thank you. I never agreed to pay her back, so.
What did you say when you called her?
I just told her the situation, that I was done serving my time at that jail and that they were transferring me to a different jail. And she didn't want to see me in jail no more than I wanted to see myself in jail, so she proceeded to bail me out.
Oh, Okay, now, Miss Hubbard, why don't you tell me how it came about that you bailed him out of jail?
Well, he caught me July 19th, which was a Thursday. I knew he was going to the next jail the next day. So he basically talked about how he was tired of being there and that he didn't want to serve the days that he would be serving at the next county. He asked me if I had some money. I told him I didn't at that moment, but I had got paid that Friday. And he basically went into, you know, my bail is $220. If you have the money, I'll pay you back. I don't want to be in jail anymore.
That sounds right. That sounds like what people say.
That's not what I said.
How many times did your father bail you out of jail?
About 4 times before that.
And each time that your father bailed you out of jail, did you pay him back?
No.
That's why he didn't pay you out anymore.
Right.
How are you going to pay back? How much was his bail?
It was $250.
Well, what happened when you asked him for your money back?
I never got a chance to really ask him for the money back because he basically ignored my phone calls. And the last time I saw him, though, he had told me to come back and that he was going to give me some of the money. And after that, when I had called him back, I basically got ignored.
You mean after you bailed him out, he cut you off?
Basically, yeah.
That's not nice, Mr. Smith.
Yeah, can I say something in my defense for
Yeah.
that? I didn't like the way that she was treating me. Like the lifestyle that she wanted to live when I got out of jail. She wanted me to like stop hanging out with my friends that I know like way longer than her. She was real controlling and she was like real possessive and I just didn't want to talk to her anymore. So I just cut her off.
I'm going to say something to you that you've probably heard on a lot of commercials. Stay in school, okay?
Okay.
You need it. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $250. That's all.
Harry and Greg Martin are suing their former friend, Darren Trinchero, for the return of money from an insurance settlement. Darren claims the money is his.
Mr. and Mrs. Martin, you purchased an automobile from the defendant, who was a friend of yours. And according to you, the agreement was you would make payments on this car because, I don't know, did you have a loan outstanding on the car?
Yes, Your Honor.
And at the end of, when the loan was satisfied, he would turn the title over to you. You maintained the car, you paid insurance on the car, and then the car was in an accident.
That's correct.
According to you, the defendant told you that he had received a small settlement check for the accident, but you were also injured in that accident.
Yes.
And when you received your settlement, you ascertained that he had received thousands of dollars for the car.
That's correct.
And you feel as if that money should be yours. Mr. Trinchero says he doesn't think so. So I need some information. When did you purchase this car, Mr. Trinchero?
Back in '04, and I do have a copy of that document.
I'd like to see it, please.
There you go.
You purchased this car September 14th, 2004.
Yes, ma'am.
And you paid $6,500.
Yes, ma'am.
When did you purchase the car from Mr. Trinchero?
In March 2005.
When in March?
March 3rd.
So, Mr. Trinchero, you had the car for 5 months.
Yes, ma'am.
How much were the payments?
$249.09.
And I have to add in your down payment, which was $1,500. So your entire investment in this car, Mr. Trinchero, was $2,745.
Yes, that sounds correct.
Now, you took over these payments in March of 2005.
That's correct.
And when was the car totaled?
November 13th, 2006.
And you were paying $249.09.
That's correct.
Okay, so let's figure that out. You see where I'm going, Mr. Trinchero?
Yes, ma'am.
So they invested in the car $5,229.
Right.
Now, how much of a check did you get for the car, sir, when the car was totaled?
The value of the car check was $4,900, which I have a copy of here.
Let me see it.
There you go.
Your Honor.
Shh, just a minute. $4,549.
Right. Yes,
What'd you
ma'am.
get this for?
That was for the balance of the car that was worth, because I was a lien holder on the car, the owner of the car. After,
Why should you get all this money?
Because during the agreement, back on 03 of 04, there were many stipulations to the contract, such as carrying insurance on the vehicle, also notifying me of any address changes that they had or anything.
Oh, stop it. You're being a big baby and you're nitpicking, Mr. Trinchero. Mr. Trinchero, let me ask you this question, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
If they finished paying off the car in 3 months and it hadn't been in an accident, would they have gotten the title?
Not if they would not have carried full coverage insurance like our
What
contract
difference
said.
would it have made?
Because I accepted liability
Just a
for
second.
the car.
Just a second. Mr. Trinchero, did you pay for the insurance?
Yes, I did. I carried it till 2006, which was not part of our
Just a
agreement.
second. You paid for the insurance
Right.
until when?
From the beginning of the contract until 3/3 of 06.
3/3 of 06. The car was in an accident in November of 06.
Right, I had coverage on the vehicle at the time.
You just told me that you had coverage in the vehicle until March of 06.
Right, 3/3 of 06 was my
Well,
coverage.
March would be the third month of the year,
ma'am.
sir. The accident happened in November.
Right.
Your Honor, we had the first 6 months that we had the car, that we were paying him an additional $50 a month to keep us on his policy.
Can I see that, please?
Well, this here is just the copies of the.
I just want to see any checks that are above. I'm speaking. The 24909.
Okay.
Your Honor, may I interject something there, please?
Listen, Mr. Trinchero, you're a hustler, and you did the wrong thing. And what you're supposed to do, since you got your finger caught in this miserable pot, you're supposed to say, you know what, let's see if we can find some median. I shouldn't get a windfall over and above what I paid for a 10-year-old car.
Well,
right? Hey, pay attention.
Right.
I shouldn't get a windfall because a car doesn't appreciate in value. A car loses value.
Right.
So you put in $2,700. You got twice as much as you put in, and you're not entitled to it. You're here in a court of equity, sir.
Right.
And if you only put in $2,700, unless this car was a mint Ferrari, you're not entitled to make money on it. Do I make myself clear?
Right. I'm not trying to make money.
You are trying to make money on it because your whole investment was $2,745.
I believe I assume liability for this vehicle, and I lost something because of that. And
Well, you
my
think wrong. Hey, Mr. Trinchero, you think wrong.
Okay.
You may have rationalized your bad behavior and your dishonesty with these people in your own mind because you lay there and you said, well, now they sent me a check because I'm on the title to the car. How do I justify not giving them at least some of this money? Well, let me see. They let Homer drive the car twice, and they weren't supposed to do that. They were supposed to keep the car in insurance and not take it out of the state. And I know they went on vacation once, and they took the car to Florida. Hey, I'm speaking. That's what you did. You laid in bed and tried to figure out how you could justify being dishonest. And that doesn't fly here. You don't justify being dishonest when you come into a court of equity, Mr. Trinchero. Right. It's dishonest, and it was the wrong thing to do. What you should have done is said, listen, we got this money. You invested $52.29 in the car. I invested $27.45. The whole idea was for me to get off the hook paying for the car because I didn't want this car anymore after 5 months. You did.
Yep.
Because
That's not correct.
if I, hey, listen.
Not correct.
If you didn't want to sell it to them, you wouldn't have sold it to them. Did you get another car, Mr. Trinchero?
I had another car before I sold it to them. And I had no use for this, and Greg had no car. Being a friend of his, I felt that it would be an equitable thing to do that. But he did not fulfill his end of the bargain in the contract, which I thought was legal.
You purchased a brand new car. Hey.
I thought this was a legal contract, and it was violated many times.
Then what you have to do if it was violated many times is take the car back.
Exactly.
Shut up.
And we did try to do that several times.
Which you did not do.
We took many actions to do that.
No, I didn't say did you take many actions, Mr. Trinchero. Did you take the car back?
We could not locate them.
Oh, you're so full of baloney, sir. You could locate them when you got the check. That you managed to locate them. When they got the check, you managed to locate them.
First.
Very, very bad, sir. I don't know how you sleep with yourself at night. I wouldn't want you to be my friend.
I don't see where he's entitled to any amount of the check from the insurance company that mailed him that check.
He's not.
Okay.
If he had been what we call a mensch, that means a good person, a good, honorable person, you probably would have sat down and said, listen, you got a little extra money. I'm going to get a little extra money because I put in $5,200, but I drove the car. I mean, you don't expect to get 100% value on your car if something happens. You might have made some kind of an accommodation. But since he was a pig, he loses everything. Judgment for the plaintiff and the amount requested, $42.74. That's all.